First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Swimsuit? Check. Sunscreen? Check. Phone charger? Check. Don't forget to pack the 5-Hour Energy. It fits great in a pocket or carry-on, and the alert feeling will help you arrive ready for anything. Now get 20% off when you use code 5HETRAVEL at 5hourenergy.com. Expires April 30th. One-time use only. Not valid with other discounts. Remember, visit 5hourenergy.com and use code 5HETRAVEL to save 20%.
Just because you're a male does not mean you can't be a...
But even the premise is to me, it seems kind of racist. It's like saying, so to teach, you can't. I'm struggling here for a moment.
At the very least, I'll give you some padding. At the very least, it's ridiculous. You're teaching something. You're teaching a language. Right. And I guess if you could find someone who is a native Mexican who is teaching in college, that would be a bonus if the position is only to teach Spanish. It'd be like, yeah, I'm learning from someone whose first language is Spanish. And I guess there would be a bonus to that. But to say that it is racist for a white person to teach the Spanish language is just the most ridiculous. Okay, especially, by the way, when Spain... If you go to the country of Spain and not Mexico, it's basically a white population.
I just think it's like saying if you're Hispanic, you can only have a Hispanic doctor. Or if you're white, you can only have a white doctor. Or, for instance, I'm not a lawn care specialist, but I can't tell you, Bill, you're mowing your lawn the wrong way. I mean, it's kind of foolish.
Even still, her whole argument about it has to be a Mexican. Why can't it be a Puerto Rican? Why can't it be a Dominican? Why can't it be a Colombian? Why can't it be a Spanish? A person from Spain? Is it racist for her to?
No, she's not saying that Puerto Rican couldn't speak Spanish.
No. What she's saying is
she's white, so she can't speak. She can't teach Spanish.
She said she doesn't want to teach Spanish because she's not Mexican.
No. I may have just made that leap. It's because she's white.
Yeah. Well, then is it racist of her to learn the Spanish language as a white person?
I wonder.
She's a fluent Spanish speaker.
Apparently, she's able to teach the language. One would think. My screen isn't working here, Andrew. Just so you know. So I just think this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Did you want to continue?
No. It's the point I was trying to make about the whole premise itself is racist, and is that you can't share an experience. Now, obviously, if you had a teacher who was from Spain and spoke the language growing up and could explain some cultural intricacies about what certain words...
That would be a bonus.
Correct.
Whether that person is white or Mexican, which are olive... I don't know. What would we say?
I don't know.
Mexican is. I don't know. They're Mexican.
Brown, do we say?
But brown, maybe, yeah. But I just don't. I do not understand where she's. There are so many different issues that could be tackled in the world that really are unfair and are problematic. To go after this one just is mind blowing to me.
It's just it's a whole relabeling of you can only do certain things. It just
what I think it is someone who doesn't understand the movement. Where people are trying to eliminate or reduce systemic racism. It's someone who has distorted it in her own mind so much that she doesn't understand the premise, and she's going overboard in a reaction that really doesn't make sense.
So is it like a privilege thing? Like she shouldn't have the right to teach that course. They should go and seek somebody who is of color or.
Well, no, she's saying she's comparing it to something very similar to using a black actor in the 1940s.
She made that comparison?
She didn't, but that's the concept that is being compared to. I want to switch here while you guys mull this over in your heads. Tanya J. Powers standing by right now. Tanya, good morning. Apparently, you must be of Mexican descent to speak Spanish or to actually teach Spanish at Oklahoma State. It's quite a story.
I've not seen that story. I just was listening to the conversation there. I have no idea what's going on with that because I haven't read it.
I know.
But you can bet that I'll be looking that one up today.
Yeah, look that up. It's worth a gander. I think today President Biden. Actually, this may have happened yesterday. Giving an update on the country's COVID response with some new ideas. Right?
Yes. The month of action is what he was talking about during his address about the COVID response. That is the next 30 days between June 4th and July the 4th, because the goal by the White House that they set is to get at least one shot, at least, one dose, partially vaccinated Americans, 70% of us by July 4th. That's the goal. We're now at 60.2% of all Americans 12 and up. They've gotten at least one dose of the COVID vaccine, according to the CDC. The goal is 70%, so we'll get 10% more.
That's actually a better number than I thought. When you see the number, I think it shows like 40% of America, but that's 40% of America age
including
baby
everybody,
including everybody, and those people aren't even eligible for the vaccine. So,
40% is the whole population.
Yeah,
if you look at just 12 and up, which is where. That's the number of people. That's the age of people who can actually get the vaccine at this point. Fully vaccinated, 48.6. Partially vaccinated is 60.2, and that's what they're striving for. At least partially vaccinated by to get 70% by July 4th. And so they've rolled out these incentives and stuff, which I'm going to get to in a second. There are some states that have done very well with their vaccination rates at this point. 12 states have hit the 70% goal. And again, this is nationwide, the 70% goal, not 70% in every state. That would be helpful to getting there. But 6 states have less than 50% of their population with at least one dose. So that's one of the reasons that Dr. Fauci and some other of the health experts are concerned about mini outbreaks in places like that where they're not getting vaccinated. The rates of vaccinations aren't as high. The incentives that they're rolling out, free child care while parents get vaccinated at major daycare centers and some YMCAs. Also free child care, drop-in child care while parents recover if they have side effects. So, you can drop your child off for a little while you go get your vaccination.
Wow.
And then, if you aren't feeling so great, you have a few side effects afterwards, maybe the day after you get your second shot or whatever, then, you can do that drop-in service again, which would help out tremendously for folks, who don't have someone to watch their kids. Overnight hours at some pharmacies on Friday nights this month during June. They're also doing a program for outreach to black barbershops and hair salons to promote and even become some mini clinic sites for vaccinations, just give them right there on the spot. Anheuser-Busch says if we make that 70% goal, everybody over 21 in the country gets a beer.
Everybody gets a beer. How about that? That's a great marketing campaign.
Yeah, it is.
And it's funny you bring up the black barbershops.
That's also
we were doing some. I have an organization with a friend, Tim Reed, called Real Men Get Tested for Cancer, and it's because men tend to procrastinate. And one of the places where we felt that we were told we would be able to reach minorities is in the black barbershops. It's the place where black men especially congregate and hang, and it's a really, that could be a really productive spot for vaccines.
Yeah, let's hope that's going to play a big role in this. Also, some companies are giving employees incentives to get their shots. If you haven't checked with your company to see if you still they need to get a vaccination, some companies are giving their workers paid time off. Some of them, like Dollar General, Marriott, McDonald's, give you 4 hours of pay to go get the shot. Walmart is giving its workers paid time off and $75.
Wow.
Starbucks, you get paid time off as well. So, some companies are getting in on this. Local businesses are joining in with the incentives as well. They are also doing a big volunteer effort, which launches tomorrow. If you can find out about that at wecandothis.hhs.gov. I don't know if they mean for that to be a play on the World War II. We can do it.
Right, right. The lady with the showing her muscle and
with Rosie the Riveter. That's one of the things they're also doing is getting people in their communities to do a month of action, like a text campaign, or you can call people and encourage them to go get a vaccination or whatever. But it's a big rollout of the month of action that starts tomorrow.
All right, very interesting. Rick, Tanya says, why can't COVID-type shot incentives be used to get people to vote? Well, that's kind of interesting, but right. We're doing the opposite when it comes to getting people to vote. We'll be restricting that.
That's a very interesting question. I'm not sure it's
whole different
legal
topic
or ethical to give people incentives to vote. I mean, but that's a really interesting thought. Thank you, Ray.
Okay, Tanya, have a wonderful day. Thank you. It's very interesting out there. We're all, and meanwhile, the rest of us, we are like, the vaccine's available. It's my duty to go and get it. I want the freedom. I'm going out and getting the shot. But now we're up to that portion of the population that's apprehensive, so we have to lure them in. Interesting. Thank you so much, Tanya. Have a wonderful day.
Anytime. Thank you.
Tanya J. Powers.
What is the latest New York State incentive, or is it from Biden? You get a free education.
That's Cuomo. Well, you're placed into a lottery where you could go to college for free in a SUNY school, room, board, and tuition. Okay, which is a significant deal.
I thought it was. I was misunderstanding. Just based on something that was said earlier, in my mind, I kept playing it over, thinking, "Wait a minute, who gets these? Everybody gets these."
This is available at any SUNY school, right, Andrew?
Yes.
Which
SUNY,
that could be.
CUNY,
That could be. You could go to Herkimer. You could go to Stony Brook, where it costs much more.
Geneseo.
Geneseo would be another good state school. There Albany. There are many opportunities there, and many great schools that these kids could take advantage of.
SUNY Poly, duh.
Yeah, well, that might be a SUNY school. I think it might be.
Just kidding. So, and you mentioned Herkimer as well. I'll just throw in here. Herkimer and MVCC both victorious yesterday in the first round of the national championship tournament.
That's the men's and the ladies. MVCC moved on. Pretty big as well. Jeff is in Utica. Hello, Jeff. Good morning.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good.
So this teacher, the Spanish teacher,
why did I have a feeling we're going to be going back to this again and again?
Of course
today?
we are.
Yes.
I don't like to use that word Karen that gets passed around all over the place.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a great compliment or even an insult. But I got to ask. Okay, so she doesn't want to teach Spanish because she's not Spanish. So
correct.
My follow-up question to that is, who taught her the Spanish?
Well,
Did she make a big deal out of the fact that, I can only learn Spanish from someone who is Spanish? Or is this all basically for kind of the attention of it all?
Well, and I feel like this is what Julie this morning is saying. A teaching assistant, those are university doctoral students. Some do this for payment of tuition. It's probably her dissertation for her degree. I think that what you do have here is a publicity stunt. She's probably she's incredibly in the dark, or she's probably using this as a publicity stunt, or as a way for her to I don't know. This is some social experiment that she's in the middle of, but. I can't imagine somebody would say this with a straight face.
You have to think that she's not. I mean,
right.
Otherwise, this would have been right from kind of day one in her career at learning Spanish.
Right.
So I think she's woefully in the dark or trying to do that publicity stunt. You're absolutely correct.
Does it mean that students can't learn, white students shouldn't be learning Spanish or other languages?
I think that's something else.
No, this is just that she shouldn't teach it. Why would you allow me to teach this when there's a wonderful Mexican professor you could find out there that can teach the Spanish
when we were all
language?
kids in school, did we even care? What nationality, what political beliefs, what social beliefs the teachers had? We just wanted to, take the test and get the heck out onto the playground.
Right. Yes. Yeah, and I'm. It's not as much about. It's. I think she's taken a moment here in time when we, as a country, are extremely oversensitive in some scenarios. I'm afraid we are. And taking things too far, and that's really what she's doing. She's taking something that is probably extremely legitimate, and she's taking it to a level that is just ridiculous, in my opinion. So, all right, interesting stuff there, Jeff. Thanks, man.
You guys have a good day.
You do the same. Crazy, right? And then it looks like there is the opportunity right now because the state legislature is filled with Democratic control, and with that said, New York is one of the states that has probably the toughest gun restrictions. You know what is going. You kind of knew what was going to happen. That at some point you were going to see New York State's legislature move forward on increasing gun control. And there's a story in today's Observer-Dispatch about that. Gun control in New York, lawmakers want to pass these new reforms to crack down on illegal sales. The state Senate on Wednesday passed a series of new gun control laws, the latest in a decade-long bid to have more stringent gun laws in New York. The package of bills comes as lawmakers plan to end the legislative session for the next week, legislative year for then the next week. With the bills passed in the Senate, it will then be up to the Democratic-controlled Assembly to do the same. And I think there you probably are more gun owners are probably more vulnerable in the Assembly than they are in the Senate.
Well, is this about gun owners or gun manufacturers?
So there's a new proposed law.
There is more than one.
Right. So one of them that's causing great concern. There's a story on our website right now. 11 New York State mayors are calling for the passage of this law. Is Herkimer County IDA Director John Piesek is coming out against it, saying that now with Remington Arms finally starting to, kick back up again and start business, this could deter that or stop it entirely.
What is this?
So this new gun law would take away protections that gun manufacturers have through the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, which is a federal law.
Yeah.
It would basically take away protections for gun manufacturers to be sued. They're saying it would be it would make them eligible to be sued if there's wrongdoing that happens.
Well, that's exactly what happened in Connecticut. And the problem you have is, do you sue the automaker if somebody's driving 100 miles an hour and the automaker is sued because why can the car go 100 miles an hour?
Right. So this New York State law
type of thing
would essentially take away protections provided by this Protection of Lawful Commerce.
They're also trying to enact a 10-day waiting period for the purchase of all firearms.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Charging you don't for all firearms.
The only reason the reason I say that is because wasn't there recently a shooting
a background check, but
there wasn't I don't know if they call it a cooling off period where you don't have the ability to say, I'm really mad about something that happened at work today. I'm going to go do this, and then you go and do it. I want to say one of the recent workplace shootings was that situation. A guy was upset, went to the store, bought a gun, no waiting period, might have passed a background check, but that wasn't in New York State, to be fair.
Still, I would not agree with that. I am okay with background checks that are. I feel like I'm okay with New York's laws, which are already stronger than most places around the country. Lawmakers want to make it an explicit crime to purchase a firearm if a person knows there is an active warrant for their arrest. Another bill would holster criminal.
How would you not fail a background check?
You would,
if that was the case.
But remember, it's the gun you buy. I don't know the exact restrictions, but I believe it's buying a pistol versus buying a hunting rifle. It's two different things. They want to make this for all guns. Another bill would bolster criminal penalties for illegal gun sales or manufacturing, while also
that should be the case, right?
Well, it's already illegal
gun sales, right?
While also limiting the sale of toy or imitation weapons to combat the harm incurred by realistic toy guns.
Like my son has a Nerf gun. Is that
apparently
the next thing?
Lawmakers would also want to bolster how the state reports gun violence data. One bill would require. There's a lot here. One bill would require the State Division of Criminal Justice Services to release quarterly reports on gun violence in a bid to track whether guns obtained and used in criminal acts were acquired in states with weaker gun laws than New York's. And Democrats also want to create a state center for firearm violence research to study gun violence. All of this stuff costs money, and all of this stuff, I get it. The problem is, most times there is a gun crime. Most times that is a gun that was obtained illegally in the first place.
So this is from the state website. It's the Senate version of the bill. It's 1048, S-1048A. This is under justification of the legislation. Virtually every illegal firearm was once legal. Our country is awash with legal and illegal firearms, and the people are paying the price in money and misery wrought by the illegal use of legal firearms. This is unacceptable. This unacceptable situation poses specific harm to New Yorkers based largely on their zip code, certain immutable characteristics such as race and ethnicity, given the ease with which these legal firearms flow into the illegal market in spite of stringent state and local restrictions, yada, yada, yada. But basically, here's the problem I see with this. So you can legally purchase your gun, someone breaks into your home and steals the gun, then uses it to commit a crime, and the gun maker would be held responsible. They specifically note every illegal firearm was once legal. Well, how do they become illegal? Because they get stolen? Or
I've got about a minute here, and I'll tell you this. I don't think, though, that here's the thing to be thinking about, and this is something Griffo was talking about a couple of years ago. If you lose control of the Senate, there will be no one there to stop this. Mm-hmm. And right now, the Senate, if the Senate is going forward on these bills, imagine what's coming next out of the Assembly, which is even far more liberal than the Senate. Just saying, you could be looking at these. We could be looking at an increase in gun laws here in one of the states. It's probably one of the toughest in the country already when it comes to gun laws. Coming up next hour, we'll talk to Sarah Northrup Lynch. Her dad's ordeal in Alaska. What a story this is!
Crazy.
We'll hear firsthand what went down coming up here.